Welcome to Vigorous Workouts. I'm Coach Steve and this is Hamstrings and Glutes. Now I switched to this new lying hamstring curl machine because it has progressive resistance, and hopefully over the next few weeks I'm able to improve my lockout strength even further. On the other lying hamstring curl machine that we have at the Muscle Factory, I always try to hold the pad against my glutes or a peak contraction for about half a second or a full second. But now I'm at a point where I can do the full stack for 4 or 5 reps, even 6 reps sometimes, while I'm holding the pad in place against my glutes. So by switching up the exercises, this should allow me to improve my lockout strength even further and just get a different stimulation on the hamstring. So I always try to switch the exercises around, even though the machines are very similar. The range of motion and the contraction and the differences in progressive resistance allow for different contraction in the hamstrings. So on the first working set, you see that I haven't yet fully mastered this exercise yet. It's only the second or the third times that I'm doing it. So I'm not at a point where I can hold the pad against my glutes simply because of the progressive resistance, making it almost impossible. So I'll definitely try to improve that over the next few weeks. So the first working set, I did as many reps I could with the full range of motion and then finished it off with partials. And the second working set, I went to the full stack already, but I only got 4 reps with that, so decided to drop it to 60% of the stack, as many reps as I could, and a couple partials, just to get the hypertrophy in, get the most amount of stimulation for this exercise. So over the next few weeks, I really hope to increase the peak contraction on this exercise. Alright, so we got 2 working sets in. That means that the GLUT4 receptor has now been translocated into the cell membrane, which allows for carbohydrate intake without the presence of insulin, even though insulin is present in my scenario. So it's time to down this whole can of Schweppes tonic water with, wow, shaken not stirred, baby, 30 grams of sugar, and hopefully I'll get an awesome workout after this. Cheers. Alright, quinine is in, carbohydrates are in, pre-workout electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium, a little bit of calcium, a little bit of phosphorus also in. Now we're going to have the rest of an awesome workout. Stay tuned for awesome contractions. The second exercise is seated hamstring curls. Now, unlike the lying hamstring curl machine, this one does not have progressive resistance, so I had to MacGyver that stuff in by adding a resistance band to the arm. Now this is already a full stack, getting about 6 full reps and a couple partials at the end there, but I decided that was not heavy enough, not enough stimulation, so I added another resistance band and took that set all the way to failure, but without doing any partials, because after that second set my CNS felt pretty fried. With all this weight, I have a tendency to slide out of the machine, so I'm really pushing off against the knee pad and trying to hold myself in place. But it is pretty tough to get everything lined up sometimes. This exercise is Smith machine swing curls. Actually, I have no idea what it's really called, but that's what it looked like, so that's what I'm going to call it. It's a great finisher movement, but I usually don't have so much energy toward the end of the workout, so I just throw it in somewhere in between. Unfortunately, I only got 6 reps. Depends on the day how many reps you're going to get. But again, it's a great way to get a peak contraction in your hamstrings. Moving on to the adductor machine. Now I prefer to do this exercise in between hamstring exercises, especially before stiff-legged deadlifts, whether that's barbell stiff-legged deadlifts or dumbbells or using the V-squat machine. At least you'll be completely warmed up by the time you do stiff-legged deadlifts by adding a little bit of adductor work into your workout prior. So by adding the adductor machine before stiff-legged deadlifts, not only are the hamstrings completely warmed up, but the adductors as well, and they're a little bit pre-fatigued, so you don't have to put so much weight by the time you do stiff-legged deadlifts. This is the first working set using the full stack, a double looped resistance band, which is basically the thickest one I can find, and adding 2 chains to the top of the machine just to make it a little bit more heavier. I usually end up doing 2 working sets on this machine because it's the only direct adductor work that I do during the workout. So the first working set is just basically feel my way through the exercise, and then the second one is to finish my adductors off completely. Now, funnily enough, I usually get more reps on the second time I do the adductor machine, so on the second working set compared to the first one, and it probably has to do with the activation, because there's not so many exercises where you do adductor work directly besides the adductor machine. And even though my hamstrings are a little bit pre-fatigued, by doing a couple warm-up sets, then one working set, I think that's all the activation I need for a real working set on the second time around. And to be honest, I feel it's a little bit of a waste by putting all these chains and resistance bands on the machine and only taking one set to failure. So just take it for another round, show it some love. I mean, it's refurbished Planet Fitness equipment after all. So grunting a little bit, putting some sweat on it, at least it gets the respect it deserves. 2 sets to failure, a little bit of assisted work there with my hands. Basically everything you've seen so far was pre-fatigue, and now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of my hamstring workout, which is stiff-legged deadlifts. I've been doing stiff-legged deadlifts in the V-squat machine for the last couple of weeks, trying to work my way up to 10 plates, which is basically as much weight as this machine can hold. I'm putting a little mat underneath my toes to get a little bit of stretch in the calves and the hamstrings on the way down. This is 8 plates, which went relatively easy. I'll highly suggest everybody to put a towel on their back when doing this exercise, because otherwise the pad will really dig into your rhomboids in your back, leaving some pretty silly marks. So this was 8 plates, done relatively easy. To be completely honest, I prefer barbell stiff-legged deadlifts over the V-squat machine, but it's good to change it up sometimes and try something new. And it's of course always fun to max out a machine. Moving on to 10 plates. Unfortunately, I strained my left pec on racking this weight because the safety pin is a little bit difficult to get in the right position while you're unracking it. So my left pec got a little bit of extra strain just holding my torso in place, trying to move the weight up. So on the first rep, I noticed that my left pec felt a little bit awkward, and then I confirmed that with the second rep and decided, it's not the day today. I'm not going to risk injury and put it right back. So here's a video of me attempting this weight a week ago, 10 plates, and I got 5 reps here, 4 reps continuously, plus an extra rep after a little break. Again, using the towel to prevent myself from getting nasty burn marks from the pads. So here you see that it's a decent range of motion. It's not all the way down, not as much as I did this week, but at least you can see that I can actually move this weight, and I was well on my way to getting 6 reps, maybe even 7 reps this workout. Again, sometimes you strain something, you just put it back, put it down, don't risk any injury, fight to live another day, and hopefully by next week my left pec is a-okay to try it all over again. Moving on to glutes. Now I should be doing hip thrusts with the barbell. You do your stiff-legged deadlifts with the barbell followed by hip thrusts in the machine, and vice versa. When you do stiff-legged deadlifts in the V-squat machine, you should be doing barbell hip thrusts. In reality though, I'm pretty fried after any form of stiff-legged deadlifts, and this machine goes a long way in preventing my lower back from pumping, trying to load the barbell up. So I'm just doing 4 plates on the hip thrust machine, getting a little spot here from my buddy Mark, always willing to help and make sure that I work for those last few reps. Now it's always a little bit difficult to get a good spot on this machine because it's very difficult for the spotter to see how high the weight actually needs to go. So I always feel like I'm an inch or 2 short, but hey, it is what it is. I should be doing this by myself, but sometimes you just don't want to get stuck in this machine, and I've been there, trust me. Last exercise is reverse hyperextensions. Now there's always a decent amount of swinging involved, which actually helps with the decompression of your spine and breaking up scar tissue in your upper glutes. Luckily for me, after 2 years of continuously doing this exercise, there's no more scar tissue and there's no compression in my lower back. So I do this religiously every week, switching between weights of 3 plates to 5 plates. Today I felt pretty strong, so I worked my way up to 5 whole plates, which again shows with a lot of swinging. Regardless of the swinging, you'll still get an amazing contraction in your hamstrings, glutes, lower back, and the rest of the posterior chain. It just looks a little bit funky, of course, but hey, it's about the contraction and not always about how it looks. I mean, for the guys that have seen me do front raises with 70-pound dumbbells, it doesn't look nice, but it sure feels good. And that concludes this workout. I hope you guys find it fun to watch and learn something new. Leave me a like on your way out, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Leave a comment for the algorithm, or just if you want to say something funny, that's always appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.